Okay, there you go. Ugo, you're multi-pinned. So Ugo's all set? We're good? Okay, I'm assuming so because I haven't heard any different. Emmanuel Gutierrez not here, right? Brenda and Jose Landeros from Hesperia haven't shown up. Catherine LeMay, saw you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Colby Lundmark.
Here.
Where are you, Colby? There you are. That's confusing. Ugo. Ugo's here. Eric Mendez.
Yes, indeed, I'm here.
I'm here.
And that was Hugo's interpreter saying he's here. Okay. Kevin Nolasco. Kevin Nolasco. Kevin. D. Rangel. D. No D. Josh.
Here.
John Sesser.
Here.
Michael Silva.
Here.
Jose Silva Nunez.
Here.
Aurelio Uribe. He's usually here. And Dennis Vega.
Here.
Okay. So just a few things I want to go over with you. Dennis, can we see you? Would that be possible? All right, cool. So, oh yeah, maybe not. Just kidding, Dennis. So, hey, yesterday I had a 4-hour in-service, faculty in service at City College, and a lot of things happened. I learned a bunch of stuff about what's going on with the college, and great, great information from our president, President Goswami, and during the workshops, we had a couple of workshops. Had one on some Zoom techniques, which I didn't learn a whole lot new, but maybe a couple things I can't remember right now to tell you about. But I learned a few things about the 4 agreements. But anyway, we talked a little bit about people not having their faces, not being live on Zoom, and it was posited, and it was brought up to me that some students may not want to show where they're at. They're uncomfortable with showing their bedroom or their room or wherever. And okay, and if that's the case with you, you need to tell me. Just you don't have to tell me in front of the class. You can tell me just privately. You can send me a private chat or send me an email or text or whatever, and tell me why. Tell me why you don't want to have your face shown. And I don't think I've got anybody like that in here. I think you all seem to be. I'm seeing your faces, so I'm assuming that you're comfortable with your faces and your backgrounds. And if you're not, please let me know, because we're big on equity, even more so than ever. And we want to be sure that everybody's included and nobody is not included for any decent reason. I got to qualify that, because you could not be included for some bad reasons, and I won't go into those right now.
Hey, Rodney,
Yes.
just to let you know, my friend just told us that they can do a background. You can create an artificial background.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but
Yeah.
just to let you know, because her husband kept walking in when she was Zooming. She's like, oh no, this won't work. So
Yeah.
that's a possibility too, for the techies who know how to do it.
That's part of what was said, was that, Goswami had the City College background when he talked the whole time. It's not a hard thing to do. You do it in Zoom. It's just basically drag a picture from your file somewhere. If anybody wanted, well, there are so many resources for you as students. It's really kind of beyond belief how many resources. I mean, this I think all schools are this way, but really City College is just kind of beyond belief. And also, hey, I wonder if anybody notices, because I've got myself pinned now, as you can see, and I'm gonna reduce everybody here. But if you notice anybody come in that you haven't seen, would you just unmute yourself and chime in and say, hey, so-and-so came, or chat to them to let me know they came. So, and I'll go back over the people that, like Dario, not here yet, right? Emmanuel, Brenda, Jose? No? Kevin Nolasco? D? Aurelia? No, okay. So I'm pinning me, and I took roll, talked about visual zoom. So one of the workshops that I took yesterday afternoon was using the 4 agreements in education. And I had heard of the book, the 4 agreements. Pretty sure my wife has it. I couldn't find it on our bookshelves, but I wasn't familiar with it, and I had never read it. Well, I bought it. And I was so impressed with the workshop, and I was so impressed with the agreements. It blew me away. So I'm going to go over them. So I want to see a show of hands, because I can see all your faces except Dennis right now. How many people are familiar with that book, The 4 Agreements? Catherine and Donna. Oh, Donna, hey. Donna Davis made it. So I'm marking Donna here. Good. So Donna and Catherine are both familiar with it, but nobody else. Okay. It's been around, I think it was published in 96 by the man that wrote it is Don Miguel Ruiz. But the 4 agreements in a nutshell, only 4, they're relatively easy to remember. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Yeah, be impeccable with your word. That means tell the truth and know that your words have power, and be impeccable. And I think you all know what be impeccable means. That means you got to do your absolute best to tell the truth and be right on with your words. Second agreement is don't take anything personally. No, nobody cares enough about you. It's everybody's in their own stuff, and so don't take anything personally, even if it sounds like you're being personally attacked. It's that person. And I'm not going to expound on these things. I just want to get them stated. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Don't assume anything. And actually that goes hand in hand with something that I like to live by, which is I try to avoid contempt prior to investigation. Yeah, so, which is so easy to do. Oh, no, I don't like that. Well, wait, have you ever tried that? No, I just know I won't like it. Well, how do you know? I really don't know. So don't make assumptions. And the fourth agreement is always do your best. So as I read this book for the first time, I might be coming back in and commenting in successive classes, but I just was so impressed with that workshop and just the agreements themselves, because they distill to me what I would like to inculcate in my life and how I'd like to live my life. I would like to be impeccable with my word, not take anything personally, not make any assumptions, and always do my best. Now, how can you argue with that? I personally can't. And if you can, unmute yourself and chime in if you got any problems with those 4 agreements. They pretty much cut through it all. They're non-denominational. They don't ask you to believe in a higher power. Pretty much ask you to believe in yourself, which is pretty good for me, the way I look at it. Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about, I haven't mentioned in this class, and I'm also just to go back a step, is that trying to think of this as a lab, because the most labs I think about, I've got you here and we're doing stuff, right, that you can either see or it can get your hands on. So I'm trying to keep this as a lab and not get too much into a lecture, but it's almost impossible. So soft skills. I just wanted to mention soft skills because Pat and I may be teaching a class, an accelerated class coming up, and it's a non-credit, excuse me for yawning, it's a non-credit class, but it has in general construction, but it has a soft skills component to it. And I didn't write down the soft skills. I just kind of made a note to myself to mention it. But soft skills being not as opposed to the hard skills of how to use a skill saw, how to use a router, how to use a framing nailer, how to use a plumb and line, how to use a laser level. Those are all hard skills. Soft skills are how you interact with people and what your attitude is. Attitude, good attitude would be a soft skill. Having a can-do attitude, having, showing up on time, keeping your agreements, being personable, being clean, being well-groomed, stuff like that are soft skills. They translate across the board to anything you want to accomplish, and certainly any job. Those are the things that for the decades I was an employer, looked for in employees. And I want to get a little interaction and feedback here. So I want to know, just briefly, you can just say it in a few words, but I'm going to call on you and I'd like you to unmute yourself and tell me, what do you think is the most important thing you can bring to a job interview in an entry-level position? And let's just say you're going after an entry-level position on a framing crew. You maybe know a little bit about framing, but you might have a skill saw, but you're entry level. You just want to get in and start learning and start maybe making a buck, and you pick the company and you've interviewed with them. What do you think you can bring that would be the most important thing to that interview? And if somebody says something that you think is right, then just say that. Don't be afraid to repeat. Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to just move around my windows here. John, start with you. What's the most important thing you can bring to a job interview, entry level position?
I would definitely say the first thing is attitude. If you want to get hired.
Yeah. So what kind of attitude, John?
Being excited to work.
That kind of attitude. So not a bad attitude.
Yeah.
That's kind of duh. So an attitude where you're excited to work. And when we say attitude, a good attitude is open to take direction, personable, all those things, right? But that's pretty hard to go wrong with that answer. How about you, Michael? What's the best thing? Anything besides a good attitude? Michael Silva? Mike, you awake? Michael Silva?
Yes.
What's the best thing? What's the most important thing you can bring to a entry-level position interview, job interview?
I would say just confidence.
Confidence, another excellent thing. A good attitude. I'm going to qualify John's attitude with a good attitude. I don't know if you guys can see any of this. I'll probably have to move this. I just want to get these down. Okay, good attitude and confidence. Good attitude. Confidence. I like that. Confidence. Okay, who else? Catherine, what about you? What are you going to bring to that interview?
I think also respect toward.
God. What a great one. Respect. Who doesn't want to be treated respectfully? Respect.
Hey, you know what, Rodney? Also, I just want to say about your 4 agreements. It's
Yeah.
interesting that those things can work whether you're in conflict with your honey or whether you're Nelson Mandela and you're in a prison cell. It's really amazing how powerful and how he distilled them down to taking control of your life.
I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you for pointing that out. Hey, Eric Mendez Garcia, what are you going to bring?
I would say like the desire of learning.
Oh, nice. I like desire to learn. I'm going to say to learn. Desire to learn. I like it. Okay. How about Armando? Armando.
I also agree with John, as in saying good attitude.
Good attitude. That's where I'm at too. Good attitude. Colby, how about you?
I was also with John with the good attitude.
Good attitude. Okay. Josh?
Well, I was gonna say good attitude, but apparently everyone's saying good attitude. You know, I guess what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I'm thinking of I take initiative. You don't have to look over me.
Initiative. That's a great word. In-ish. Tiv. Initiative. Great word. Great, good one, Josh. Google, how about you? What are you bringing to that interview? That entry-level interview?
Thinking for a second.
It's okay. And it's okay if you don't come up with anything new. I don't know if you guys can see.
I'm just a tiny bit behind. Hold on.
Probably should pin this. Oh, good. I got.
Oh, I think, okay. I'd like to show motivation. I think that's very important.
Good. Is that from Hugo?
Yep.
That's primo, Hugo. And I'll pin myself so you can see this better, but I want to be able to see you guys. So motivation. I love that. All right, who's next on my list here? Jose Silva Nunez.
I would say trustworthy.
Oh, bad, being trustworthy, bringing trustworthiness. Love that. Donna, how about you? What would you? Go ahead.
No, you can finish your question.
What will you bring? What do you think is the most important thing for you to bring to an entry-level position you're interviewing for?
Background knowledge and personal training.
That's a good one too. That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Background knowledge. And what was the other? And training?
Yeah, if you want to get a job, you need to take initiative on your training. So when you go to that interview, like you're ready. Like you don't even question if you're going to get the job or not.
Good. So it sounds like confidence too. Sounds like Donna, what she just said smacked of confidence. Okay. Hey, Jay, Jose, what do you think, Jose Landeros? What are you going to bring to this entry-level position?
Well, if you're going for an entry-level job, you know what I mean? It's your knowledge isn't really, you don't have that much stuff on it, but you should always bring that part of your knowledge. But not only that, when you're sitting there talking to somebody, always let them know that you have leadership skills too as well. But at the same time, Rodney, it's always good to ask the people who are interviewing you what they're looking for in a person.
Leadership skills and questions.
Yeah, because you got to know what they're looking for.
About what employer wants. I like it. I like that a lot. Brenda, how about you?
Professionalism.
Oh yeah, that's good. Can't beat that. Everybody wants to be professional, or at least appear professional. The appearance of professionalism, the appearance of being professional is usually all it takes. Oh, Aurelio's here. Good. Aurelia, what do you think? What's the most important thing you can bring to an entry level position interview?
Oh, it's kind of hard. That's a big list right there.
Yeah, it's huge. You add to it?
Yeah, I mean, I would be doing, trustworthiness, respect, confidence. That's really what I kind of go by.
Okay, that's good. I like it. I like it. I like it. And I guess the last person is Dennis. Dennis, what do you bring? What did you bring to your interview with HFR?
It was mostly a phone conversation with him. A
So,
little bit of in person, but
well, so on your phone interview, what was the thing? If you would be conscious, what do you want to bring to that phone interview? I mean, anything besides the stuff that we've talked about.
Man, because I was thinking more like in person, and the only thing I could see missing there is my hard hat, my safety glasses, and my boots.
Say it again.
Yeah, I would say a hard hat and a safety glasses and some boots.
So
looking at that list, like
equipment.
Yeah, equipment.
Let's just say equipment.
I mean, normally I feel you might get interviewed at a job site. I don't think it's going to be in an office. That's just my thought.
Equipment / tools. Okay, I like it because one of the things when I interviewed, and I've interviewed a whole lot of people, is I almost always have a test. I have a test at a test for cabinet makers and a test for carpenters, 20-question test, maybe 10-question test. But I always ask to see their truck or car, and that tells me so much about somebody. If I go look at their truck or their car, especially their truck, if they got a work truck. So, do we have Kevin Nolasco? Are you here? D, did you come in? Emmanuel Gutierrez? Dario? Okay. Okay. So let's,
Did we have attitude on that list?
it was the first thing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, the very first thing on that list is attitude. And that was from our very first contributor, which I can't remember who that was. Who was that? Was that Michael? Oh, you can't see that because I'm sharing a screen with you. Anyway, it's up on the board, and we'll look at it again at some point. But let's go to, let's do this safety meeting here. Let's do a safety meeting. And if any of you don't know about the safety meeting, that every class I do, I like to do a safety meeting pretty much first thing to mimic a safety meeting that you'd have on the job site that's required for you to have every 10 working days. Job site tailgate safety meetings, or you talk about safety and everybody gets safety on their mind so we can all work safe and be safe and stay safe. So today, I'll start out. Extension cord safety, introduction. Electricity has been so embedded in our work and home lives, it's impossible to work without it. However, because electricity is so common, we forget to treat it and electrical devices with respect. For example, if the current from a 120-volt lamp passes through the chest, it can cause a fatal electrocution. Extension cords help temporarily make electricity more accessible, which means the dangers of electricity are more accessible. It's estimated that 4,000 people at the emergency room are there because of some mishap involving electricity. Therefore, keep in mind these rules and tips. Okay, hey, Catherine, would you read that first bit for us, inspections?
Inspection, cords. If any of your cords have the following, do not use them: fraying, scratches, cuts on the casing, exposed wiring, hot to the touch. Wall plates. If any of the wall plates have these signs, do not plug the extension cords or any electrical cords into them. Melting, hot to the touch, discoloration. Yeah, also they forgot smell. Area inspection, the area the cord will be in. If the area has any of the following, fix the area so it's safe, or do not use any extension cord in that area: wet surface, metal touching ground, or high traffic areas.
Okay, how about Michael Silva? Would you read prohibited uses, please?
Yeah, prohibited uses. There are many things you should do or you should not do with an extension cord because it violates common sense. And OSHA has a list of the most important ones. Do not use it as a substitute for fixed wiring of a structure. Run through holes in walls, ceilings, and floors. Run through windows, doorways, or similar openings. Attach the cord to building surfaces, even though there were products specially made for those. OSHA does not allow that in the workspace. Conceal the cord behind building walls, ceilings, or floors.
Huh. Yeah, I don't get the not running it through windows, doorways, or openings. That may not be possible in some respects, but okay. So Nick, how about Jose Landeros? Safety tips.
It says there are only things to remember when there are other things to remember when using extension cords. Just because there are enough outlets and in an extension cord doesn't mean that you can fill them up. It says be sure you don't exceed the current required. Make sure cords do not dangle. They can be tripped over and ripped out of the wall. Don't plug one extension cord into another. You could overload the cords or circuits and start fires and other damages. Don't plug 3-prong into 2-hole extension. Those are Christmas lights right there. Cords. You could here, hold on, I think going up too much. You could overload cords and circuits and start fires and damage. It says don't plug 3-prong into 2 extension cord, 2-hole extension cord. You could overload the cord. If you are done using the extension cord, put it away. This prevents tripping and keeps the extension cord in good condition. Do not store extension cords outside. This prevents the casing from cracking and prevent damage to the prongs. Do not use indoor extension cords outside. The casing of the indoor for indoor extension cords are not meant for conditions outside and will wear away quicker and cause hazards.
Okay, Brenda, why don't you finish off?
Make sure your extension cords have enough slack. Otherwise, it will be too easy for cords to be pulled out while they are transmitting electricity, which can damage the cords, circuits, or equipment. Do not coil the cords too tightly. This will cause the wire to bend and become weak, which will damage the extension cord. Do not pull on the cord to disconnect it. Instead, grasp the plug firmly and pull it out. This will damage the prongs and damage the wire where it connects to the prongs. Use extension cords for temporary situations. Extension cords wear out quickly and electricity is too dangerous to be harnessed with damaged equipment.
In the conclusion, remember to respect electricity and use only extension cords with common sense, and only use, rather, extension cords with common sense. Especially remember to inspect the cords before using them, follow OSHA's rules, and always be safe. So anybody have anything they want to say about extension cords? Any anecdotes? Okay, well, I'll give you my anecdote and what I have to say about extension cords, and that is I've been on a lot of jobs, literally hundreds of jobs, and rarely is there are extension cords taken into account. They just seem to be everywhere, willy-nilly. I've tripped over and stepped over and turned 50 million ankles, and I've extension cords, bane of my existence. And then if you're in the construction trades and you've been in a job, how many times have you been using extension cord and all of a sudden somebody's unplugged you so they can get into the spider box? So extension cords are crazy. So try to have a good extension cord, good 3-prong plug, good thick extension cord, not too long for what you're doing, but obviously not too short. And just maintain it and keep it out of the way if you can. And as far as going through windows, there's some cases where where I can't see this guy not going through that window, but anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth on that. So let's get out of that. Let's go back to there and go back to here. And so I took us out on some field trips this week. The first place I went was a driveway on Olive Mill Lane being poured by Shaw Concrete. And I, unfortunately, I think the first part of this, it wasn't filming. So I think I started interviewing Matt and started talking a little bit about the job, but I think you'll get a good sense of this job. It's a pretty trick driveway job, pretty trick concrete job, period. And there's all kinds of components that make it trick, which we'll try to explain through the video. And then if you can ask questions about it, and actually at the end of this video, if we don't stop it and talk about it, I would like to get some feedback from you guys on what you think that the trick or the complex components, and not just a regular pour, were on this job. Here we go. I don't know if I was still filming or what happened, but it's filming the neighborhood. Hey, Matt, what's going in the?
Wait, is it closed captioning on, Lonnie?
So we're not on top of the lead, pushing the rock in.
Is closed captioning on?
So what we do is we make little.
Sir, can you turn?
That we can move easily and tamp all the rock in without actually physically being on the concrete itself. Because the rock goes too deep, then all you'll see is concrete.
So the part that you didn't see, which I guess didn't come out, my first part of that I was filming didn't come out, is this is a washed aggregate job. And in this case, it's a washed pebble job. It's called salt and pepper because the pebbles are black and white. And once the concrete's poured, it's worked and it's screeded and it's darbied and started to work with a trowel until it sets up a bit, and then an aggregate is sprinkled on top. In this case, it's broadcast on top and it settles in, and then they do a couple more procedures as it goes along. Matt will tell us about, and then at one point they lightly wash the concrete with a hose, and it washes away the cream of the concrete, and it leaves the exposed aggregate showing and well embedded. So let's see if Matt can describe it better. Right. So doing it this way so you can physically get to it and do it. And then when will you pour the rest?
Probably next Tuesday. So we'll come back, we'll strip all our forms, we'll finish up our rebar, tie everything in, have nice joints everywhere, follow those joints. And you can see right now, we're doing joints right now.
Cutting in joints, control joints, right?
Control joints, yeah, basically that's where the concrete cracks.
That's where we're telling it, where we want it to crack. Does it always obey?
No, it doesn't.
No
Concrete
kidding.
does what it does.
That's right. But we try to tell it where to crack.
Using, a straight aluminum rod, so we get nice straight joints and nice clean, edging around it.
Yeah.
So it comes out, finished product comes out really nice.
Yeah, so besides
and then we're doing a top cast finish over here on this piece of concrete.
What's it called? Top cast?
Top cast finish. So that one we spray a release on. And
like a color release?
No, it's it's an actual film, and it comes out pink, and then when it turns white and turns like a different color, and the concrete's hard, then we physically come back and wash about a 1/16 of an inch of concrete.
Like power wash it?
No, actually wash it with hand trowels, just like we're gonna wash this. And all you'll see is fine sand, the fine sand in the concrete. So it's like an old sidewalk almost.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
the new modern look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's which part?
It goes just at the walkway.
Oh, this is the walk, because this is the driveway.
This is the driveway.
It's not a circular driveway, it's a walkway.
Yeah, and that's a walkway out from the front door, out that way.
Wow.
They have their other walkway tied into the driveway.
So besides figuring that form and do this, the physical aspects of doing it, you really got to get timing is everything. I mean, how you time it and how you stagger it and stage it and how you get these guys. You have over 24 guys on the site.
Yeah, I know.
How you get these guys.
But that, I like to be concrete, we only have one chance.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, if you screw this up, we rip it all out and we pay triple. We basically don't make any money. We lose double what the job would have cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rip it out, regrade it, reform it, re-pour it.
Yeah.
Get all the.
You got to get it right the first time.
Yes, it's a one chance deal.
Yeah, this is just unreal. How many yards this for?
This one's just 20.
So two full trucks?
Yeah, 2 full trucks.
And just a regular 5-stack, 2,500 PSI?
I'm gonna go head down the park.
Yeah, I'll see you down there.
No, we're doing a 3,000. We always like to go 3,000 PSI concrete.
Just harder.
And just harder.
Yeah.
And it does not crack as much.
Yeah.
As the 2,500.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll add fiber mesh to the mix.
So it's like you got some of John's guys here, or ex-John's guys. What, yeah, these guys are too much, Hey, so all these, this checkerboard pattern, they didn't pour this concrete all at once because they can't get on it and finish it. I mean, normally you'd have guys on pieces of plywood on their knees, troweling and starting to work this concrete and finish it. But you can't do that in a washed aggregate pour. You can't kneel on the concrete on plywood and spread your weight out because it pushes the aggregate down, and you'll get spots where the aggregate will be too far down and it won't come up uniformly, and you won't have a uniform finish. So they've got to bridge over the pours. That's why the checkerboard pattern. That's why they'll bridge over, and so they don't have to kneel on the pour, and they can do all the work and make this wash aggregate happen. And then when they pour the parts that aren't poured next week, then they can bridge on top of the stuff that is poured, and they won't have to step on that either or kneel on it. Concrete finishers. So these guys, how long will they be here finishing?
All day.
So you'll be washing in the afternoon, I guess.
Yes.
And your 2x12 just go in your form lumber stash?
Yes. Yeah, so that's just that'll just get reused for other jobs. And, that's why we like to form a lot with 2x12 and do board form.
Yeah, yeah.
You can reuse your wood. Same thing with plywood. You can keep reusing your wood.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a pretty renewable green in some respects resource, because gravel is not finite, right?
No.
I mean, gravel keeps getting made basically.
Yeah. Still
And,
quarries. Yeah.
and there's plenty of quarries. I guess I don't know if I can't see us ever running out of gravel, and I'm trying to think of how gravel's made, and then cement. That's all quarried. That's all mined, right? Portland cement.
It's all smart.
And I wonder if that's a finite quantity, because it's naturally occurring, right?
Yes.
It's not something that's made in the laboratory.
No, it's not made in the laboratory. Yeah. They do have to do some things to refine it.
Yeah.
To make it pliable, and so it does bond and do its job.
Portland cement.
But it's a raw product almost.
Well, there's nothing like concrete. There's nothing like a concrete driveway. I need my driveway redone in the worst possible way. I'm gonna get it redone too. So you'll strip these at some point before next Tuesday,
Yeah, we'll strip these forms probably tomorrow.
clean them
or
up, and
the
then
next day.
will there be the cold joints in between them? Will you have
Yeah, you can see our dowels are already sticking out.
Right,
So
right.
there's gonna we won't put any expansion.
You won't have an
between it.
expansion joint, so it'll just
Yeah,
be right up to
it'll
it.
just be flush to it.
The expansion joint's a piece of felt
Yeah.
that allows the
So
concrete to
half
expand,
inch,
put it,
all the way up to 3/4,
Yeah.
even all the way up to 2 inch,
Yeah.
depending if you're doing a bridge job.
right, you put that in to allow concrete to expand and contract. In this case, we're not going for that.
It's out into the wall, so that concrete's holding the wall,
Yeah.
not holding this.
Yeah, yeah.
concrete. So any force coming down this way with the slope is being reinforced by epoxy dowels that have been doweled into the site walls, and it's holding this concrete up.
Makes sense to me. And this is all engineered on plan, right?
Yes.
Everything's called out.
Yes.
It's really something. What a gas speed to see the culmination. And then how long did it take to excavate and prep the site and form it and get it ready for tie steel?
Installation took about 3 days, and then prepping and forming took about a week. Grading. We got rain and it washed everything out, so we should have poured this about 2 weeks ago, but the rain, or a week ago.
There's nothing to be done with this much square. You can't cover this
So
much.
we
Where
had
would you
to-
take it?
Yeah, so with all the water that ran down the driveway, we had to come back in, pull some of our rebar out, regrade it, let it dry out, recompact it. So
More sand,
yeah,
recompact.
more sand, so it's a risky business, you're taking chances,
Yeah.
especially when you're working in the winter. I mean, we're blessed that when we live in Santa Barbara, that we don't get rain often for concrete guys, even though I do love it.
Yeah.
But it's just, it can be very devastating to footings and slabs and.
Yeah, there's nobody that takes that responsibility but you. You can't go, oh, I'm gonna have to charge you again because the rain came.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, sorry. Who knew? So yeah, man, what a trip. And then Matt, what's happening over there at the perimeter up against the house there? Is that just gonna, you guys have got it around there so you can get to it?
Yes.
And then you'll just pour in and around it?
That's just gonna be a small planter right there.
Okay, so
That'll be a
at the
planter
house,
all the
will
way-
be a
yes,
planter all the way
yes,
around?
Our garages.
Yeah,
So
there's
it is
the garage. Okay,
So
I
they'll
see.
enter the garage right through there.
Right, and then up against the house there
Yeah.
and there.
Small planters.
Planters. Cool house. Shouldn't have seen it. Used to be this place. But I remember I was doing some finish work, some hardware for him. He wasn't home, and someone had called the police. So these two sheriffs showed up, and they came in, and I said, hey, yeah, we're doing work and stuff. And they said, oh, okay. And they went to get back in the car. I said, whoa, dude, wait, let me show you my ID. I need you to write this shit down. I need to write this stuff down, not just say, yeah, I could have been anybody. I could have been a burglar with a carpenter belt on, right? So
let's document it.
yeah, that's it. This is my name. I'm here. I'm doing work here. Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna head to my skin doctor's appointment. Matt, another excellent job. I went and did your block.
Yeah.
I filmed that one in Summerland too. That was cool. Yeah, that was a really good one too, because really a great example to CMU. And then I finally figured out what those cleanouts were for. That's right, I met you there. I finally figured that out. It's like, what's he talking about?
Yeah, because it's really hard to get down
Yeah,
to the
no
bottom
way.
of a wall and clean the bottom of the mortar that's fallen down. So you want to keep clean outs at the bottom of the
Yeah.
high lift floor.
Yeah.
You want to do clean outs so that way you get down and clean up all the mortar that's fallen down so you get a good concrete bond.
Totally makes sense, man. It totally makes sense. And then is that something that you just learned, or is that something that's called out? Or is it
You
just,
just-
is it the
it's kind of-
technique,
it's
that's how you do it?
standard.
Yeah. So this is the one, what's this one called again, the walkway?
Top cast finish.
Top cast finish. That gets
It'll
washed
be
to
like
more of a
exposed,
sand,
really, like light sand finish.
like our foundations that use beach sand, they're all deteriorated because the organic stuff
Exactly,
in the
like
beach
a
sand.
deteriorated
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
Little pebble coming out.
Yeah. And that ain't gonna happen to you. Man. All day, you guys will be here all day. Okay, yeah, I thought you might guys might enjoy this, so later. Any, do you have any questions or comments about that? Anybody? Questions or comments about that pour? Do you all know what washed aggregate looks like as a finished product? John's shaking his head, yes. Armando's shaking his head, no. Brenda is looking non-committal. She's a no. Aurelio knows what it looks like. So what I'll do is I'll go by and shoot that finished product. Maybe before our next class, or at least at some point, I'll show you that finished product. So we'll revisit it and you can see what a washed aggregate looks like, what a salt and pepper, it's actually a pebbled aggregate. A typical washed aggregate is your aggregate is already, the gravel aggregate is already in the concrete. And then it's worked and it's allowed to set up to the point where it's washed with a hose and trowels, but mostly with a hose to wash off that top coat of concrete and leave the aggregate exposed and embedded in the concrete. So it's an exposed or washed aggregate. And then in the case of this, they're using smoother pebbles in the colors that they want, black and white pebbles. So they're broadcasting them in the top at a certain point and then troweling them in, letting them kind of come to the top and then washing it off. So it's a little more involved process, but I'll show you the finished product at some point. And I meant to ask him how much more it is, because it's not just a regular concrete driveway job. So, which is concrete's bid by the square, usually by the foot. But I would imagine, I'd like to find out what a regular concrete colored one pour driveway goes for per square foot versus something like this, with this pebbled release, and the fact that it's got to be done in a checkerboard pattern in 2 pours, that also adds to the cost. Everything I saw on that job would add to the cost. Okay, so let's go over to Carpinteria. Let's go back to that project on the beach, and let's John Gordon. So I think I missed a little part of this too. So we'll see this one, and then we're going to take a break. But this introduces Alex, who's Rich Coffin's job super. He's going to tell us, about the project, and then we're going to look around the project. We're going to look at some pretty interesting and beefy and well done framing. Friends of mine, Trevor Baumgartner. He took one of my class for that 4-story.
Captioning is not showing right
Gardens
now?
on Hope.
Yep.
Next to the, and those guys, he had every wall built in a factory in Tustin. Every single wall was framed. He came up on trucks and got craned in, and he had guys doing the sheet. All they do is, they came up from somewhere down south, all they do is sheet. They don't do anything else.
Well, the sheeters were here yesterday, and it took them a half day. It was, I think, 45 minutes to sheet the roof, and then the shear walls took the rest of the half day.
How many guys?
4 guys.
That's amazing. We specialize like that. So, Alex, introduce yourself, please. Tell us a little bit about you.
My name's Alex McGeever, and I work with RHC Construction. I've been with Rich for about 12 years now, and I've done a little bit of everything from him.
Wait, I gotta stop you there.
Yeah.
You've been for Rich 12. When did you start? When you were 6?
No, I started fresh out of college. So my dad was a builder growing up, general contractor. job site while I'm waiting for Dad to finish up work.
All right, good. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. But yeah, I've been with Rich for 12 years, doing a little bit to everything from mainly project management, but we framed a couple big film projects ourselves up to about 8,000 square feet.
Wow.
Went in-house, and the economy was slow, and we needed to keep our
Yeah,
guys busy.
yeah. Yeah, otherwise I found that, because my guys all want frame.
Yep.
So come on, let's do this. Like, I could never make money with my guys framing. I could never make money. The only way I ever made money is I hired framers.
And Rich will tell you the exact same thing. He's like, I never make money. I hate,
No, it's
I
just-
love framing because Rich and myself are really particular, and we
Yeah.
treat it almost as like finished carpet.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in there lasering in the studs,
No.
making sure, everything's
Breaking the backs of studs and, making walls super flat. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I know. I know it only too well. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you more than once. So go ahead, man. Tell us about the company and what you guys are doing and what you guys are doing here.
Rich really specializes in high-end custom homes. So we're here at a new build, tear down and rebuild on the beach in Carpinteria. So this will be about a 6,000 square foot place when it's all said and done. And yeah, it's a great project for us. And yeah, this is our bread and butter. This is what we love to do.
So now I noticed that Rich's name was on the plans as GC.
Yeah.
So did he negotiate the job before it ever even got drawn? I mean, at what point did the owners know they were going to use Rich?
That's an interesting one here because we actually were working concurrently with the architect on architectural details with the previous owner of the property.
Ah,
And
for another project.
No, on this same house.
Okay.
Previous owners of this property, and then they sold the property with the plans ready to go.
Oh, I see.
So we had to go out and get the job from there. But we've been on the project since the early planning stages, ironing out tons of details.
Which is the way I look at it, as a long-term general, is that this whole thing is based on so much trust. It's not so much about money. Money is always a factor, but there's so much trust involved. It's like picking a doctor, man. You don't go out, you don't bid your kidneys to the lowest, the lowest bidder. You pick the guy that you like and trust, you get recommendations for, and you work for him from the beginning.
Yep.
Which is the way to go. Which it kind of feels like, and that Rich has got the kind of reputation and also the track record where that's what he can kind of command, especially in this company. So it's great. It does my heart good to see it.
No, we've worked really well with the architect here, which is Newman, Metro, and Angela.
Yeah, those guys are. Andy Newman, well, all of them are just,
Yeah. Well, Andy's awesome and semi-retired now, unfortunately, but his partners, Mary Angelitis and Dave Metro, are exceptional.
Yeah. Well, Joe, don't tell Joe I told you this, but he was Brian Cornell trained.
Yep.
And Brian's one of my better friends. You probably shouldn't mention that to Joe.
Well, no. Joe's Mary's wife, or Mary's husband, right?
Yeah.
And Joe's awesome too. We're actually doing another project with them.
Yeah. So it's Mary. That's right. It's Mary. I think it's Joe.
Mary.
When I hear Andrewlitis, Joe pops in my head. That's right. It's Mary.
Yeah, and Mary's, equally as talented.
Well, having a good architect on this project and a good relationship with the architect makes it so you guys have a lot less head scratching and figuring out to do. You got somebody that is being paid to figure it out.
Oh yeah,
right?
and even with that, and as good as they are, that rapport and working with the architect is huge because there's so many details, especially on the more contemporary homes, that are so tight that you need to work hand in hand to really iron out all those details.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started on this project, to lay out all the caissons, we didn't even have grid lines on the plans. So I was going back and being like, okay, going back to the architect and really stressing like we have to have grid lines here because we had to start, 45 feet deep and build our way up to, 8 to 10 feet above, our elevation.
Did you and have you seen? I think I looked at the foundation plans and I didn't see it done this way. But have you ever heard of the XYZ
Coordinates
for layout for foundation?
They weren't weren't done on this one.
Yeah, I noticed they weren't.
There aren't any radiuses. I think, yeah, XYZ really helps. when
Well,
you
it
start
does,
doing
but
stuff.
the book building is a project I did on Mountain Drive.
Yeah.
And that was a building I built with XYZ coordinates, and most of the foundation guys that looked at it, said, what the heck is this, right? And what it is X coordinate is due north, south, you have a survey. Y is due east, west, and Z is a projected height above sea level, and everything's laid out square from there. It's just unreal. So centers of all your load points. So you're checking layout. You're making sure the subs are doing what they're supposed to do, right? And just could you describe a little bit about what kind of project we're looking at here? Like, it looks like I'm looking at a garage here. Carport underneath, or is it living underneath? Or?
It's a garage underneath, and then we've got Cavani above.
What's the square footage?
I think it's about 800 square feet above and a little bit bigger down below. There's some mechanical areas as well.
It's all shed roofs?
No, we've got a bunch of flat roofs that have already been framed and seated. And then the site here is really tight, so we're not able to get our grade all around the building.
Yeah.
So we're having to build all of our decks, put temp seating down, and then coming back and building those taller rake roofs.
So you can get your grade all up, or just so you can lift from the deck?
Get material and slide it and set up scaffolding in the back and have just a safer work environment.
And Genie lifts on the site?
Yes.
Is your Genie lift?
Yep. Genie lifts, and there's just a lot of big lumber. Yeah, the deck framing is all 2x12 joists with 8x14, 6 8x14, 8x14. And
This deck is the deck we're talking about, right? So these are 6x14?
Yeah.
Main supports, and all stainless?
All stainless hardware.
Even the pads?
Yeah.
It's solid, what, 5/8 stainless, 1/2 inch stainless?
3/4
stainless, holy God.
And then we'll get Matt back, our concrete stuff back after to dry back it all.
Yeah, and this all gets dried back, which is just a mortar without water, pretty much, but enough water to make it so you can shove it in there. And then I noticed this, actually, was it you or was it Matt? Somebody was telling me about this, which you're using for waterproofing.
Waterproofing is made by Delta, and it's just a great product.
It's just unreal.
Fully engineered. And this is one of these cells that we worked on. One of the big problem areas we always come to is ledgers always rot out when they're pressed up against the building. And so we use the waffle Trek decking to space it off.
Stand it off.
And allow it to breathe. And then we got a 6-inch SES screw popped in.
Pretty good. And we do on decks like this, wrap bitchethane around the top of the joist before they go down, and then because it locks out underneath.
The two spots that always rot out are going to be your ledger and then your joist from the screw penetrations coming straight down.
Yep.
And we use the Gracie Vicor. It's actually specifically made in a small black, so you can look down and see white, and it's made for deck tape. It's awesome.
2x12 blocking, and this is
1 foot on center.
And is it 4/4 net Ipe, or is it
5/4?
So it's 5/4 Ipe, which is 4/4 net, so it's 1 inch thick.
Exactly.
And then I was pretty impressed with the Bream ply and stainless steel cup washers and screws. So this is going to skim the whole underside.
Yep. And then the whole 2-foot truss system gets full filled with ice needles.
Foam. Yeah, I figured that much. And these are all, factory built trusses for the floor throughout, pretty much, right? The living areas.
Yeah.
And then the decks, tie it all in between the Ipe decks. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. And all hardware stainless. And are these guys stainless as well?
Stainless and stainless steel Pico nails.
Because somebody was going with Jim Cunningham talking about, some of the new requirements and all galvanized, galvanized everywhere. I said, well, yeah, you can use stainless too, right? He said, yeah, but you don't usually envision stainless. But here was not just, ocean electrolysis.
Exactly, and that's the scary part. Is you get that galvanized touching copper and you're
Oh, dissimilar metals is unbelievable. I mean, the kind of stuff that can happen with dissimilar metals. Jesus, what is it, 4 440 here? What's
It's 400 amps.
yeah, 400 amp. I meant that.
And then all of our plumbing will come up and we'll strap it to a column on each location.
And then do those get boxed or they just stay open?
They'll stay up and we get a skirt wall that runs around the whole perimeter of the building, so it'll have a bug screen and then,
That's a breakaway wall?
Yes.
Is it anchored to anything? I mean, is it on a little footing or anything? Or is it
It's on the stem wall. And the breakaway wall, they just have certain nailing requirements for the top and side and bottom end. And you basically go back to old school shop.
Fire in the hole?
Yep. You don't see it very often anymore.
No. Shot pins is what he said. Shot pins. That's a powder actuated fastener that shoots a case hardened steel pin through wood, well, through all kinds of stuff. It'll shoot through steel too, but in this case, through a wood plate to anchor these walls down to a concrete stem wall rather than have anchor bolts. And I guess that gives it, that is a lot less anchored than an anchor bolt, which is anchored down in your concrete. This is just a pin that's probably got a 2-inch penetration shot in there, and that makes it more of a breakaway wall for big high tides or king tides. So it doesn't wash your building away, it just washes right underneath the building. They're designed, the walls they're going to build to fill all this in is designed to, if they get a big surge or a tsunami or a king tide, they'll bust away these walls and water will just go whooshing in and it won't.
Right through on the building.
Building will just be sitting on at 68, 2 foot.
Yeah, 74 case.
74 case. I love that. All right, let's see some framing. Let's see some roof framing here.
Yeah, and at the Cabonia, they just sheeted and rolled all the braces, so that's probably our best spot.
And obviously a temporary construction stair. And I'm supposed to break out some acorns for you guys for a lab and show you how to do a total rise, flow run, unit runs, and we'll lay out some stringers, just like this. What do you say? Okay, sounds good.
They're not bad for temp stairs.
Not bad, man. And inch and flooring plywood, yeah. That was the first thing I bought a building in 1988.
Yeah.
The first thing I did is I drove my truck in, I measured up the measurement, and I went down to Channel 3 lumber and I laid out. That's just about as nice as that.
Our guys do a great job.
Yeah, it is a clean job. I love laying out stairs. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I was working as a carpenter, I got into staircases and then just on a fluke, I got into curved staircases and curved handrails. You know, and once you understand them, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And really, true radius is really the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
To pull off a terminal point, but blue rail.
Yep. Yeah, you land them up.
So now he's cutting the roof sheeting flush. Are these the sheeting guys or just the guys who pick that?
These are the framers going to pick up.
So the framers have subbed the wall standards and the sheeting.
Yep. They cut all the packages and then the wall standards come up and knock them together and just allows them to be a lot more efficient with their time.
Yeah.
Because especially right now, everyone's so strapped manpower wise, and then you add the COVID factor on top of it, that any extra help that we can get really helps expedite the process.
Yeah, it does. So how do we get up there? Can we get up there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go up there. So LVLs on the cantilever, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this place is built like a brick outhouse. Okay, we're climbing up, guys. 8x8 column, steel column. Coming up. That's probably is that a roof frame? An in-wall roof frame, I bet. Yeah, here we go. Stick framing, not bad for on top of a garage. Holy smokes. So will this be is this the staircase up? Will be over here? No. Okay. This is just a deck to sit out and enjoy the marsh and the wetlands.
Yeah, the view is
And
pretty
then,
insane.
so what kind of glass are these two openings, or are these openings getting?
Fleetwood Mason.
Big Fleetwood aluminum frame, dual bay.
Yep.
Oh, and the bottom one's open, the top one's fit?
Exactly.
Sliders?
There'll be a slider here, and I think these are, it might be a big maybe or 6. I'd have to double check.
So these rafters are all LVLs, okay.
It is all LVL up here. And then downstairs is a mixture of CVIs and LVL. Yeah, and then instead of having just a straight LVL cantilever, we worked with the engineering details and we tapered them to free flow for our deck. So we didn't build.
Hey, everybody. Let's take a break. I have 10:12. That's going to give us a 15-minute break, but I'm going to make it an 18-minute break because I'm going to have a little breakfast that I brought. So I'll see you back here at 10:30. Okay? 10:30. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Rodney? Rodney? Rodney?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. It's Linda, the captioner. I just want to confirm, did you say they call it a shot pin? SHOTPIN?
Yeah, shot pins are shot with a powder activated tool. So yeah, they're called shot pins.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for clarifying. What was I gonna try to